Good evening, everyone. Great to see some names I recognise and some names I don't. Welcome. I'll just wait till it looks like everybody's audio is working and then I will start us off. Ooh. Excellent. Great to see a number of you here. Okay, let's do this. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today's London CTOs event. Let me introduce myself first of all. My name is Abby and I work with Barry Cranford, who's the founder of the London CTOs. That is just one of 15 different tech communities that is run by RecWorks. RecWorks are a tech recruitment company with a massive difference. So as a company, we believe that recruitment really can be a force for good in the industry beyond just placing people in jobs. We have a particular focus on learning, mentoring, and personal development. If people want to learn and others want to teach or share their knowledge, we are happy to connect you through our communities and events like this. We see this as giving back to those we've worked with in the past, but also paying it forward to those we hope to work with in the future. To date, we have run over 700 different events for engineers, developers, students, graduates, CTOs like yourselves. We have run conferences, lightning talks, hackathons, all sorts. Earlier this year, we made our 4,000th introduction through our Meet a Mentor program. That's one of our free communities. We're really excited about that and looking forward to when we hit 5,000 introductions. As I've already said, we love to give opportunities for people to connect, and this event is part of that. If you'd like to know more about any of our communities, please do get in touch with myself, Helen Lewis, or Barry, and we can take it from there. If you have questions throughout the event tonight, you are free to put them in the chat if you want to, or there may well be time for Q&A at the end as well if you think of something as we go through, but you want to wait and see if it's answered as we proceed. With no further ado, let me hand you over to Heather and for her talk, How to Actually Work in the Metaverse. Over to you, Heather.
Thank you so much. So, as CTOs, we know that part of our job is to eat the dog food of the things that we're trying to push in our companies. And so one of the things that I've had to do in my company, in my companies along the way, is to work on the products to research the products that I'm working on before I introduce them. So like in my many years of working, like I was one of the I was the 8th employee at Evernote. I was an early employee at Spirit Airlines, which is basically the Ryanair of the US. I'm the only female advisory board chair of an engineering school in the world, or at least I was at the time. There hopefully are more now. I've won a lot of awards. You can see many of them behind me. But in having to work in my own company, as we're going into metaverse types of things, I've spent over 2,000 hours with these headsets like these on HoloLens and others. And it can take a strain on you, but having to come up with a use case for a business case for why someone would do that has been a big part of my job, and that's what this talk is about today. So I think we're all aware of what Meta is doing. So let's take a look into Mark Zuckerberg's idea of the metaverse.
Congratulations on becoming an alpha tester for Metaverse. You will soon be joining a shared VR space with spatial audio, accompanied by Mark Zuckerberg, who will test this environment with you.
Hey, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about the metaverse. Starting with the most important experience of all. Sweet baby rays. You're going to be able to bring things from the physical world into the metaverse. I like barbecuing. and I guess I'm a Sweet Baby Ray's fanboy.
New alert. Mark Zuckerberg offers you his Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. Nod your Metaverse licensed headset to accept. Shake your Metaverse licensed headset to decline. Head shake detected. You are about to decline Mark's offer. Nod your Metaverse licensed headset to confirm the rejection. Shake your Metaverse licensed headset. Head nod detected. You decline Mark's offer. Mark did not like that. Meta has dispatched a hitman to your location at Mark Zuckerberg's request. You may feel your Meta licensed headset tightening. Soon you will be unable to remove it. This is normal and follows the terms of service that you previously accepted.
So, while obviously that is a satire, some of us actually feel like this is the way the metaverse is going to go in like under Meta's care, and that's probably because of the people that are behind the ethics programs developing these products. This is, I mean, that is something that we need to keep in mind, and I'll get into that later. But this is actually what Meta is developing, and it's called Horizon Worlds. So what it is giving us is an idea of being able to work from everywhere, being able to see the world that is around you, and trying to work in a distraction-free headspace. Unfortunately, this is not actually what it looks like. This is just a glimpse of what it's supposed to work like. But VR usage is actually starting to outpace leisure use in coming years. Like right now, most people that have VR headsets are using them for games like Beat Saber and Tetris Effect, and those are killer apps. Those are great. However, like most most businesses are actually starting to see that there is a use for VR in their businesses, and it is coming up. So a lot of the top tech companies, especially in the US and in Asia, have already invested in VR. 80% of the Fortune 500s have invested in VR in some way, and they're doing that in marketing, data management, recruiting, and training. So for marketing, for example, that's VR virtual walkthroughs. Data management is complex visualization. So think in Iron Man, like seeing those like VR PowerPoints kind of thing. Recruiting is a hot one, like doing blind interviews. Like remote candidates, like being able to log into a VR like workroom and then having having an avatar interview instead of like face-to-face. Training using virtual reality to do trainings like empathy trainings and things like that. Customer experience, doing virtual showrooms, which a lot of us are already familiar with, and manufacturing, showing VR, like VR zones to test new features and models. But what is actually the metaverse? Like this is a word that gets thrown around a lot. So this was coined in Neil Stephenson's 1992 book, Snow Crash. It was a book where humans as programmable avatars interact with each other and software agents in a three-dimensional space that uses the metaphor of the real world. And the metaverse was given to that virtual world. That was the name. So, but the metaverse is actually broken down into three things: augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. Virtual reality is the one that people most commonly refer to. It surrounds the viewer with content and creates a compelling, completely separate reality. It's the use of computer technology to generate a simulation of a 3D image or environment, and is generally, you need to have some kind of goggles to do that, or some kind of electronic equipment. That immersive technology, they all fall into the realm of immersive technology. So virtual reality, like you have a context that's created or recreated with a dedicated headset, and the data and the content are presented to your eye at the same time. Whereas with mixed and augmented reality, it's everyday reality. So the context is just everyday reality, and the data and the content are then presented on top of that context layer. So with that immersive technology, so virtual reality blocks out everything else. So you don't see the real world around you. With augmented reality, there's something in the real world that has data and content put over that layer. And with mixed reality, you see the real world and you have a virtual thing put into the real world. So for example, a hologram put into the real world. So think Star Trek or Star Wars, the Leia hologram coming out of R2-D2. And then there's a taxonomy, of course, because we have to have the quadrants for everything. But there's 4 key components for the metaverse. So you have virtual worlds, augmented reality, mirror worlds, and life logging. And so augmented reality and life logging have to do with augmentation. Mirror worlds and virtual worlds have to do with simulation. And so mirror worlds and augmented reality are both external to yourself, and life logging and virtual worlds are internal to yourself. And so with augmentation, you're actually like augmenting and capturing the real world, and you're sensing and immersing yourself with the simulation and intimate augmentation options. But how do you get into the metaverse? Well, you need some kind of technology. You need expensive goggles to really experience this, or you need really cheap ones. So, I mean, it's one or the other. Now, depending on the type of business case you're using, you may go for something like a Google Cardboard. In my company, what we generally do, we actually send out our clients for the things that we facilitate. We actually send out the Oculus Quest 2s for every one of the people that we work with. But for somebody like Walmart, they're actually sending all of their employees for their VR experience, something equivalent to a Google Cardboard that they could use with their own phones. But what can you do once you are in the metaverse? Well, the main thing for using a VR experience, like specifically VR, is presence. Like everything that you're trying to do in VR has to do with presence, because you are taking yourself out of the here, like the real world, and putting yourself somewhere else. It is creating an illusion that you are in a different place. And so if anyone has been in VR, then you know that immediately your brain is tricked into thinking, like even if it's a cartoon version of space, your brain thinks that you're there. And presence is a psychological effect that makes you believe that you are somewhere else, and that immersion happens because of the technology. So one of the reasons that we want to use this for business is because like everyday business solutions are just terrible. So we're all used to seeing this every day. Like, in fact, right now, what we're doing is a remote conference. So right now, you can either choose to be looking at me in my little window talking to you, or you can be looking at the slides that I'm showing you. So you have the task space, which is my slides over on one side, or the communication space where I'm speaking. And they're not the same. They're not in the same place. Whereas so the limitations, you have the lack of spatial cues. So like I'm blending with the background. There's poor communication cues because you can't see the face, the emotion that I'm giving you. You can't see you can't see any of the cues that I am giving you from my face, from my hands while you're looking at my slides. And there's just that separation of the task and communication space. Whereas where you're connecting with AR and VR, I mean, it restores that because you can overlay the person right with the task space. You can share those nonverbal cues by adding, like, for example, emojis and ups and downs and all that. And then we can create those shared spaces in AR and VR. So it brings back a whole bunch of things that we would get in person as opposed to like our current like remote technology. So one of the things that is like, here's a couple of different versions that people are using right now in VR. So I showed Workrooms before, or Horizon before, like the way that they want you to think that it works. Well, here's how it actually does. So it shows people, like you can log in with like a whole bunch of people and like have a classroom set up. You can have a workroom set up. You can come in, just like you can log in directly with your avatar, or you can log in with like the web, like this one person is, over the phone or her computer, and join in. So you don't need your goggles to be part of it, but you can all like they're all looking at each other. They're all looking at the person that is speaking, and you know that that's happening. So it makes you feel as if that you are in the room. With the HoloLens, like you can actually be in the room with someone else. I mean, it's a little weird, but you can like move yourself up to the board. You can change the size of yourself, but like with somebody wearing a HoloLens in the room with someone else, you can create that Princess Leia R2-D2 effect. Here again is a different option with Workroom, Horizon, sorry. So like you can actually bring somebody into your room and show them your computer. They can like be staring over your back, I mean, over your shoulder and looking at your screen, or you can you can share your screen on the wall so they can work with you, and you can just kind of workshop together in the same room. So like, why not just do that over a Zoom and have somebody peer program with you? Well, because sometimes it's just better to just be spitballing together in the same room. So that actually brings this back for virtual. This one is AltSpace VR. This is really good if you're trying to do a meeting like this, where you've got a teacher that's presenting things. Well, they can have the slides on the wall behind them. They can be standing at the head of the class, presenting the slides, and then you have all of the students or the attendees in the classroom sitting next to each other. And what's interesting about this is you would hear my voice the loudest in the room, but you could also hear the person next to you just like you would in a normal classroom event. But you wouldn't hear like the person in the back row talking. You could hear me and the person next to you because of the spatial audio. Now, some people aren't doing so well with their VR solutions. So this is another one that they're considering this VR. Sorry for the loudness. So I mean, they've tried. I mean, you can interact with the people in the video, but they're just scanned in flat cardboard cutouts that you're walking around and kind of clicking an information button on. And I mean, some people are just doing things a little bit differently. So yeah, I mean, some people think this is just kind of a gimmick. Well, I wanted to show you actual work being done. So like we're CTOs, right? We're programming, we're doing a lot of work during the day. Like this is a program called Immersed that I actually do use. I've spent a lot of time in Immersed. So you go in, you can actually see your hands typing, you can see your real keyboard, and you can have a multi-monitor setup. You have your Slack and your Discord going on one side, have your Visual Studio going, and then yeah, I mean, just your normal code day. And you can stay in here as long as you want. I mean, I can basically, and I'll show you why, like I can stay in here for hours. So, but why, I mean, am I just messing with you? Do I really do this? Well, here is an example of me coming to work as my avatar because I'm in immersed.
Oh, this looks cool too, because now you're shadowed out with the.
Yeah, it actually looks, if we were to do a thing and present somebody from VR, this actually would work really well.
Yeah, I feel like Heather's in like the stoic model look.
I was doing duck face for some reason.
Yeah. I was like, is there a photo shoot happening?
Like an RBF almost. There you go. Now you can see a kind of smile. Give them like a little model.
I control what the lips look like.
I mean, it's interesting stuff.
Yay. Anyway, no, I'm obviously a virtual avatar of myself, but like I've been experimenting with working actually, like doing actual work on the computer in VR. So when I'm staring at in front of me, and I don't think I'm good enough to turn the computer or turn the camera around, but I'm like actually looking at a virtual camera in VR. It's pointed at me, but on the other side, I've got 4 monitors in like space and like a virtual keyboard that's overlaying my real keyboard and mouse. So I can see like virtual hands that are my real hands, like typing on things. It's like an immersive free environment, like a completely immersive environment. But I also have a portal that like has a pass-through overlay on my door, so I know like when my husband is walking in the room. And so here again is immersed in a different way, and it's showing you that portal. So one of the things that people like is being able to see things from below. Oh, sorry, this is not the portal. This is me in like just working through VR. So yeah, that portal that I mentioned.
So I'm just working here in Immersed. I'm in one of the 360 photos, and I've got my screens, got my phone, got my coffee and my pass-through window. I can see my keyboard, and probably the best feature of all this is I can look down and scratch my puppy's tummy with my feet. Yes, big boy. I mean, come on. It doesn't get any better than that. So I'm just working.
So for me, I don't use the portals except for again to have the door for my like so I can see when my husband's coming in, because he likes to come in pretty frequently. I generally use a keyboard that actually shows up in VR as opposed because there's a couple of them that do. But other people choose to use their own keyboards that they want to see with they want to see through a portal. Yeah, I mean, most people that have worn goggles and they know that like, oh, it makes my eyes hurt. It hurts on my head. Like I can't wear these for very long. They're probably like, oh, she's just making all this stuff up. How can she be in it forever? And this is a pipe dream right now. Well, yeah, I mean, I can tell you how to make it suck less. It's still going to suck a little bit. It's still going to suck a lot actually, but you can make it suck less. And the way to do that is with upgrades. So the first thing you do is you get a comfortable headset adapter. Like, so for this, it's a Halo adapter. For mine, it's the Kimi, and each one has, or the Kiwi adapter. But you can get different ones for your different headset. But this one, I totally swear by. You can wear this all day. It's super comfortable, especially if you're a woman, because you really need this headset adapter. Another one, blue light adapters, or if you're wearing glasses, they also have prescription ones. We all know we need blue light lenses when we're in front of a computer. They do have them for these as well. I mean, this immediately makes these much more comfortable to wear for long periods of time. Cushion face masks, like, and with a light blocker on the bottom, so that you really are completely immersed inside, because anything that makes you feel like you see the outside world will totally bring you out of the experience. And if it doesn't fit your face, or if it feels uncomfortable, then you're not going to want to be in there. A power adapter, if you're doing things that aren't, that are mobile, then you definitely need one. So if you're like playing a lot of games, then definitely. If you're just sitting at your computer attached to your computer, then you can just keep it plugged in. This is another one, the lens protector. So even though you've got the blue light lenses on it, like you're probably going to keep it in its case when you're not using it or traveling with you. So this $10 piece of foam is really useful. And a carrying case is really great because you probably are going to start taking it with you, because just think about how annoying it is to get to a hotel room, for example, and then you don't have access to your whole home setup of your monitor and your keyboard and all that. But you could just take your VR goggles, and now suddenly you have your 5-screen setup with you. And if it works and all you have to do is take this one little carrying case and stick it in your backpack, then like it's amazing. So, but other accessories that you need, PC link cable, your Magic keyboard. So this thing works really great. It sees it automatically. A Bluetooth mouse so that it can see the mouse. UV cleaner box if you're going to be sharing it with other people. A charging dock if you want to like just keep it on a nice charger. Control grip covers if you're going to be playing a lot of games. But if you're going to be doing things in Immersed, you can actually just have, or I mean, you can just get away with not using the charger or the controllers and have it recognize your hands. Rechargeable batteries again for the controllers. And if you do get motion sick, then you're going to want to use Dramamine, at least until you're used to using it. But there are things that are coming to make this a better experience. So you can, so this will help it recognize your hands better. There's going to be better eye tracking. But there are a lot of risks if you're in VR. So the Proteus effect makes you, like if you are in your avatar state a lot, then you're going to start to feel when you're in the real world that you're not as pretty, you're not as confident, you're not as smart. So it's something you really need to look out for. But just overall, the future of a business in VR is that companies are going to want to use VR in product design and prototyping. VR is going to be an important tool for training. And then conferences and meetings in VR are going to become more popular, and virtual tours of different locations are going to become more commonly provided. The application possibilities, like we're going to move life logging to VR. So bringing real world actions into VR and VR experiences to life logging data. So AR to life logging, so using AR to view life logging data in everyday life and sharing our physiological data. So having those mirror worlds into VR, so getting a VR copy of the real world, mirroring real world collaboration in VR, and then having AR to mirror worlds, so visualizing the past in place. So like think about like we're going to bring people to Culloden in real life. So like when you're learning that in school, you'll actually take kids right there and have asymmetric collaboration and just more. So the sky's the limit. So if there are any questions, I think we only have a minute left. I'm sorry that I was speaking so fast.
No, you're fine. We have time for questions. It's okay. Don't panic.
All right.
Don't panic. We've had a comment in the chat, which I think I can kind of turn into a question for you. So the comment is from Peter. He says, one of the gripes I have with video conferencing and AR, VR is latency and lag. It's really easy having two people trying to talk at the same time, or people unable to chip in because somebody else is talking, and can take away some of the spontaneity of physically being present with each other. So my question off the back of that is, how do you cope with that? How do you make that challenge work well within a team meeting setting, for example?
So, I mean, it's kind of the same as in any Zoom meeting. Like you start to feel, or any virtual meeting, you start to feel the flow from other people of when they're about to talk. And I mean, we all were talking over each other when Zoom meetings started to become a thing. So and as far as lag, yeah, I mean, I think it's more of a, you have to get comfortable with each other in VR. It's going to be it's just going to happen initially, and then the more comfortable people get, the less it happens.
Excellent. That's really good to know. Thank you, because that's the sort of question I would come up with too.
Yeah,
it's the sort of thing I would wonder about.
Yeah, I mean, and I know, like, I can confidently say that because my team does spend a lot of time in VR together, and like we were stumbling over stuff the first time, like the first few times we would have meetings, but now it's just like we can kind of tell like when somebody's about to talk, so then we just stop and like, because like you can see the avatar's mouth about to move, or you can see them move in a certain way because because you can see people moving like they do in real life, like with their avatars. And then like you just have to learn that their spatial cues, I mean that their cues are the same as they are in real life. And once you get used to that, then you're like, oh, like, okay, I'm talking to a stick of butter with hands, but like,
but I know what it's going to do next because I know what to talk because of, yeah, I get you. Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So does one really come, I mean, closer to the real experience? Because I think that apart from games, we all want to look like Superman and defy everything else in kryptonite. But I think, I'm just thinking out loud here, that probably the main use case will actually to be more make video calls and distance interactions more realistic. So to bring people closer and closer together without actually traveling to Auckland, New Zealand, which is quite far. And you could be your loved one, could be away, it could be a doctor, it could just be a meeting, business meeting. It could be lots of things. Humans have traveled since forever, and if we can travel without traveling, then that could be great. So do you think one would really, I mean, how much more is it better than just a Zoom call with a good internet connection? Does it?
Oh, it's absolutely mind-blowing when you first go into a room and then you can see people, like when you realize that like you're hearing somebody right next to you that sounds like they're right next to you, even though they are in Auckland and you're in London, and then like they walk a little bit away and then it sounds like they're walking away and then somebody else comes up to you, and I mean, and it feels like suddenly your brain thinks you're in the same room. Like that's the weird thing about this telepresence. Like Zoom doesn't do that. Like, because we're all in, like, I have to look at you, I have to look at Abby, I have to like move my eyes over. But with this, it's like your ears are getting tricked, your eyes are getting tricked, your whole body then feels like you're there in the room with them. And it doesn't matter what they look like. It's just there's the psychological trick that's happening. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right that this, like, whatever the killer apps are for these metaverse experiences, they have to do with people at the core and connecting people. So
great. I think Stuart had a question he's happy to ask, so go for it.
Hi, Heather. Thanks for your talk. So my question is around the evolution of the metaverse itself. You've shown some great examples of things that work and are starting to work well, and some that are not starting to work so well, which is common when you're experimenting, I guess. But my understanding is, unless you correct me, the metaverse is designed to be like one world where they bring different subworlds, if you like, from different vendors, so that it's kind of an integrated experience. You don't have to sort of log out of one world and log into another. Can you talk a little bit around that and the thinking behind the evolution of the metaverse? And
so in like Neil Stephenson's book, that was exactly what it was, that it was one place that everyone went. And in Ready Player One, for example, like there was the Oasis, which was the one place that everybody goes to. And I think eventually there will be the one place. Like, I mean, it'll be the VHS versus beta, like, but I mean, even with that, like now we're on to streaming and like VHS and beta don't exist anymore, you know? So I think there's an evolution where there's going to be a winner of like which metaverse wins.
Yeah.
Which Meta is trying to win that. They're trying to be the one. But for now, it's very much like the early days of the internet, where there were all these individual web pages, and it was which browser was going to win.
Yeah. I guess.
So,
okay. And I guess the loser can just stick their virtual world into the winner's virtual world.
Yeah, well, or it'll be like GeoCities living somewhere still out there, and so think of it that way. Like there was MySpace, there was Facebook, there were all these other places, there was GeoCities, and like they'll still exist, but
okay, yeah, that makes sense. And where are we with the integrations and the tools and the APIs and the services to allow vendors, you know, independent and big and small, to join, you know, without having to create their own whole world, but to actually create a presence within, let's say, Metaverse, you know, one example, to, you know, then to provide those business opportunities.
So a great one is Decentraland. So that one has a lot of APIs for you to go in and like whether you're a developer or you're not a developer, there's a lot of packages that you can use to build your own world. So there's a lot of businesses that are in Decentraland already. There's a lot of casinos in Decentraland as well, because there seem to be a lot of casinos inside all of the metaverses that are out there. But I think the main there isn't a winner yet. So it's basically like you'll find McDonald's has staked claims in every single one of these that's out there. Because they just want to be first, and they don't have any bones as to like they don't care which one wins, they just want to be first.
Okay.
But I mean, so yeah, I mean, if you want to like play around with one that doesn't cost anything at all, and is relatively easy to start learning, Decentraland is one to learn with.
Right. But then if you know, if a company wanted then to move from Decentraland to, say, Metaverse, is that then a whole rewrite, or is there some of the logic and the assets can be moved across, and are the standards starting to come? Yeah,
so like you can export things. Well, actually, so you're actually importing into Decentraland. So you're creating like your avatars, you're creating your what your plot of land looks like, and you're importing that in, and you can do the same thing into Meta's Horizon. You can import the same avatar into other things, so you're not redoing work.
Right. What about the rules? You know, what about the logic and the rules that you might want within your subworld? You know, I can see different opportunities that would require different kind of behaviors, if you like, of the digital assets. How does that?
So that's the thing. You're not creating apps like so for some of them there are you're able to create, like with the casinos, like you can create you can put in an app like this is a slot machine and things like that. For others, it's just like you're putting in like, here's an advertisement, and I'm uploading my marketing video. And most of them, that's all there is right now. Like you're just uploading assets. So there really isn't. So unless you're creating your own virtual experience, which wouldn't be in any of those, like you'd be, so like what a lot of the things that my company creates for our clients, and no, I am not selling anything. We don't work with like a lot of the things that we create, we end up creating like walkthrough experiences specifically for what they want. Like, so like we just created like a Hogwarts adventure for them, where it was just like you're on the platform and then like you're whisked away through all sorts of things, which doesn't exist in any metaverse experience. Like it's its own thing.
Right. Okay. Okay. Lots of food for thought there. Thanks ever so much.
Excellent. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? So Angela says, how do you see this creating more jobs?
This is going to be one of the largest job creators. So I think more jobs are going to be in the metaverse and metaverse related fields than we can imagine right now, because people are probably like within 40 years, and I know that's like we're all retired by then. But within 40 years, I think most jobs, people are going to go to work every day. They're just going to put on their goggles and like their job will be in the metaverse. And it's going to be like interviewing people for like going to work to like their customer service job that exists, like managing AI bots in some company that's inside the metaverse, or training people to learn. I mean, so I think it's like our world is going to become more and more dependent on virtual jobs. And I know that's kind of like a sad thing to think about, that like as we're learning, I mean, as we see more and more generations that are less social in person, like, but yeah, I mean, it's going to create more jobs as content creators, as developers for metaverse technologies, and as actual like people that work inside metaverse jobs that haven't even been dreamed of yet.
Wow, this is all really fascinating. Thank you so much, Heather, for coming and sharing what you know. Does anybody have any final thoughts or questions before I bring us to a soft close? I will take that as a no. So all that is left for me to say is thank you so much, Heather, for coming and sharing that with us. It was, yeah, like I say, absolutely fascinating, and for me, really eye-opening to learn about different things. So thank you for that. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It's been really great to see you here, and we look forward to seeing you at our next CTOs event. The recording of today's session will be available for you on our YouTube, but it will also be emailed out to you when it's ready. So you'll be able to look back on it if you want to have another look at what Heather's been speaking about and dig in a bit more. Obviously, everything that she says will be in there as well. So thank you again so much, and have a great rest of your day and evening. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.